I am Dimitri Finas and I'm gonna present you a round trip on OT features provided by the ServiceNow platform. On this instance, when I connect, I am directly redirected to the industrial workspace. This workspace is a specific user interface dedicated for operational technology. It provides me a visibility on my important actions, an overview of the work for me, for my group, or for my site, and some dashboards and KPIs regarding my OT CMDB health, but also visibilities on my vulnerabilities or vulnerabilities on the incident response, incident management for OT devices. Also, I have access to a scorecard that helps me measure my site versus all the other sites of my enterprise and be able to improve my site. List views of all incidents, OT devices, changes, requests, or vulnerabilities that are attached to my devices. And a graphical view of my organization based on the equipment model standard. So typically, when you import device through an Excel file, or if you're integrated with an IDS vendor, or if you fill your data manually, you will organize your devices based on the equipment model view, meaning that each device is attached first to a site. For example, it could be your plant or your distribution site. And in this site, we follow a hierarchical organization model based on the ISA 95 standard. So for example here, for this Alcarge plant, we can see that there is a cold store with multiple cold rooms, a packaging area, a processing area, and some utilities. In the processing area, you've got some work units like the milk, the yogurt, or the Laban work unit. And in this unit, you've got some work cells or production line. Here, for example, I've got the homogenizer, the pasteurization, and the separator work lines. This, we could call it the vertical organization of your device. As you can see, attached to each unit here, each level, you've got the OT devices. So I've got 5 devices attached to my separator module. But if I go upper, I've got all the 16 devices that are available in both homogenizer, pasteurization, and separator module. But I can also see the incidents attached to this level, the change request, and if there are any vulnerabilities, remediation, or other tasks. In addition to this vertical organization, we've got also an horizontal organization. Here, for example, I can see that for the pasteurization train, there is an upstream process that is the homogenizer and a downstream process that is the bottle line A. I have this view also available as a map where I can see my full production process. Here I can see, for example, that to produce my milk, I've got first a separator line, production line, then an homogenizer, a pasteurization, and finally, once pasteurization is done, I can go to my packaging and bottling and put my finished product in my cold room 1 or 3, or directly in my incubation room also to test for the quality of the food produce. We have also a full dependency map, also if I put it as horizontal, where you can see first the same process following the green line, but with the red line you can see all the devices attached to each unit, each production unit. Meaning that if I've got an incident or a change, I can directly know which production line is impacted and where it will create a bottleneck. You don't need anymore to call a subject matter expert, all the information is in the system. So first it is used, as I said, for incident impact analysis. It is used also for when you do a change, a planned change, you can use in fact the maintenance window of your production line in order to schedule your change. And the last usage of this information is also for your reporting. If I go to my reporting and I go to the risk management, I can see that I've got a risk score that is calculated for each site. But this risk score also, you can drill down in order to see, for example, here I've got my biggest risk in Atlanta. But if I zoom, I can see that this is in manufacturing areas that I've got my biggest risk. And I can zoom down to the work center, then directly to the production line in order to understand that assembly line 2 is where is my most risky zone. So if I want to reduce my overall company risk, I should first focus on this assembly line, and more specifically, I should focus on these 16 vulnerabilities that I should remediate or work around in order to reduce the full company risk. Now that I have presented you the organization and how we can organize and segregate the data, I will generate an incident and show you how we can manage an incident process with ServiceNow. For this, I will use my event generator. So this event generator is here to generate alerts based on any kind of events that ServiceNow could capture. So typically here we simulate the analysis of a log file, but it could be also an alert that is provided by your sensor or a call to your event API in order to generate this event. We can see directly the node that will be impacted by this event, and we can see the error message here that the PLC is unreachable. In order to ensure that this is taken by the OT workflows of ServiceNow, we will use this additional information to say that it is an OT device that is impacted. So I generate this event. If I refresh here, you can see that the event PLC is unreachable has just been created, and in few seconds, an alert will be generated for this event. The classic workflow is that if it is the same event that occur again and again, it will be attached to the same alert. And this alert, the first time that it occurs, could create an incident based on the message and the criticity of the alert itself. So now, let's log as a support engineer, Troy Motern, in order to manage this incident. When I'm connected as Troy, you can see that I've got the same home page based on the industrial workspace for operational technology, and I've got different actions for sure because this is based on the assignment on myself or my team. I can see also that I've got some works from my group and some works for my site that I need to handle. Here I will refresh the list in order to check if the incident for the PLC is unreachable is available. That is the case here. And you can see here that it is based on my alert on the PLC. So I can open this incident. I can look at the description of it, the different status, impact and urgency. I can see also the list of impacted, and you can see here that the homogenizer production line that is impacted, the affected OT devices. The good point is that there are only one device that is affected for the moment. And I've got also a generated assistant list that is provided by AI. Based on the description of the alert, in fact, it will search your knowledge base for any related articles. So what I can do is I can follow my instruction handbook to investigate the issue and find the possible root cause. I use this command in order to share all the activities that I have done with my colleagues. In case I have not enough time to resolve the incident myself, at least everybody can follow what I have done. I can also attach directly the handbook that I'm using in order to do the investigation. And by the way, when I progress, I can also give a picture of what I did. And here I will simply search for taking the picture of the reparation that I am doing. So here we ensure a complete tracking of all the actions that are done with a simple user interface that measures both the impact and the affected devices and gives you advice if needed using AI. As I see, I just provided a small workaround here to repair my connection, but as this is not something very secure, what I propose is to change the device itself, the PLC, to a new one as soon as possible. In order to do this, I will create a change order. So I will create an OT change. I will take a basic change because as I provided a workaround, this is no more an emergency. When you create a change order in ServiceNow, especially for OT, we provide you a playbook approach. What is a playbook? It is a step-by-step description of all that you should put in your change in order to document it. So for sure, you can customize this playbook based on your need, make it longer, shorter, add some specific field or information, but the default book in fact contains all the information required to describe a change. Again, you can see that this change is directly linked to my incident, and the description of the change has been directly taken from the incident, which is taken also from the alert. So I don't have to modify anything here. The risk is calculated based on my device position and device criticality. I can also assign the change to the change team, and more specifically to my colleague James, for example. Then I will be able to plan the change, add justification, PLC is unstable, add my implementation plan, for example, based on the handbook or any guide that I could attach, and add any also risk, impact, or backout plan. What I can do also is I can schedule the change. For this, you've got here a scheduling assistant. So scheduling assistant will use the availability or maintenance window of your production line in order to tell you when you can do this change. So here, for example, in this plant, we've got only a maintenance window only once per month where I will schedule exactly the change here. Okay, the change is scheduled as the correct date. I can see all the information. Yeah, the schedule is correct here based on the date that I provided. I can then save the change. By the way, if you need to integrate with Maximo or SAP PM, you can create a work order for this kind of task so that you maintain the visibility of the incident or the change in ServiceNow, but you can also see the work orders that are attached to it. You just have to click here the button create work order and provide the integration to the required ERP system. So what I will do now is I will finish this change by connecting as James Smith. Again, James Smith homepage is for sure the industrial workspace. You can see that you've got several alerts regrouped together for the PLC, and here you've got all the work, change request, or incident assigned to him. As this is not a critical change, it will not appear here on the important action, but will appear on my change request assigned to me, and it is already in the state plan because we provided a date where it should be executed. Now, let's go as Robert Brown, which is the security officer, and see what kind of features we provide in order to manage your risk and security for OT. Connected as Robert Brown, the security manager, my homepage is still the industrial workspace. But as you can see here, it's not the list of actions, but I selected to use the dashboard as the first page to see when I connect. Like this, I can monitor my KPIs and monitor all the vulnerabilities that are on my environment. So for example, here I can see the total vulnerable items and each type of device they are located, if it is HMI, PLCs, or control system. I can see what are the new vulnerabilities that has been detected recently. By the way, I will get email notification if a critical vulnerability is just appeared on my platform so that I don't have to connect, but I will get the information directly in my mailbox. And as I started the project, you can see that I don't have yet any KPIs regarding remediation time or mean time to repair. That will come as soon as I've got more volume and more data on my instance. For example, here also you can see that most of my vulnerable items are still open. They are not under investigation or not yet resolved, meaning that I should put more effort in order to analyze this and put them under my team responsibility. In OT, unlike IT, resolution times are measured in months and not days. And that's what you can see here, that most of my vulnerable items are present since more than 91 days. For sure, we measure this because we want to improve, meaning that it's important to get these KPIs visible so that we can measure where we spend our time and improve the workflows. We measure vulnerable items, but we have also KPIs regarding remediation time. I can see my remediation time, how many critical remediations are near due, meaning that you can define SLA on your remediation. I want that most of my vulnerable items are solved in less than 90 days or in less than 5 months. At least you can set this SLA so that you still measure yourself and improve yourself. You can see also how many tasks are linked based on their priority and based on their risk, and what are the target status that you have reached or not reached yet. And we've got the same for exception, because it's not only about remediation. Sometimes you just need to say that you've got a mitigation control in place, or there is a fix that is not yet available, or you accept the risk for this vulnerability, meaning that you've got several ways to manage your vulnerabilities, not only to solve them. So the first part of OTVR is to provide you these dashboards and these KPIs that you can measure for your whole sites, or based on selecting each site that you want to focus on. The second part of OTVR will be the capacity to make actions, workflows on your vulnerable items, meaning that ServiceNow is basically first a workflow platform, meaning that you want to assign actions to people and be sure of who has done what and when, which is also critical for your compliance. Meaning that here I can go to my list of vulnerable items and I can see the status of any of them. I can zoom to any of them. Here, for example, I put my list ordered by the risk score to have the most risky vulnerabilities on top. If I want, I can also group them by site. If I want to focus on a specific site or know which site contains the most vulnerabilities. So here, for example, I can see that it is Tukwila site that got the most vulnerabilities, and I can open them and zoom on the most critical one. Or I can also group by risk rating if I prefer to manage my vulnerability by risk first, meaning that here I can simply group by risk rating and zoom first on the most critical ones. When you zoom on a vulnerability, you will see first what is the CVE attached to this vulnerability with all the data provided by the National Vulnerability Database, meaning the description, the risk score from National Vulnerability Database, if there is any exploit, if there is any solution, and you can see also the attached configuration item. As you can see here, there is a warning simply because it is a critical vulnerability and I have set an SLA for those one, and I am over the defined SLA. So what I can do is I can contact the assigned team for this vulnerability in order to try to accelerate the remediation, or at least understand what is happening and why is it not yet solved. You can see for sure the impacted production line, any impacted asset, OT asset that is impacted by this vulnerability. And what you can do is, here it is still awaiting implementation, meaning you can start your investigation workflow. So what is an investigation workflow? It is giving the opportunity to your engineers to check if the vulnerability is really impacting you, or you can solve it, or you can remediate it, or you can work around it. So that's all that you can track this workflow. So let's take a vulnerability that is still open. So if I go back to my list, I will try to find one that is only open. Exactly, let's find this one in London. So as this one is open, you can see that I can start my investigation workflow. What I can do also is I can request an exception, meaning that I can say that, okay, I've got already a mitigation in place for this vulnerability, or maybe there is no fix, or I accept the risk, meaning that this is not so critical for us. We can accept this risk. You can see the risk score here is 48. It is medium risk. Maybe I just accept it because it costs too much to solve it. Here, typically, I will say that I've got a firewall in place to protect my device. And for sure, each time you request an exception, you should define an end date for it so that you can control at the end of this period if the remediation, the exception, is still active. By the way, this is a request, meaning that it will go through a workflow, meaning that most probably the security officer will have to approve if this exception is valid or not. Now that I have requested an exception, meaning that this vulnerable item is closed directly. What you can do also with an open vulnerable item, I will take another one. Is that you can also mark it as false positive. You can recalculate the risk score if you change the rule, for example, or you can investigate it. So meaning that here your engineers will work on it, check everything. If they need, they will create related tasks. Maybe, for example, work orders that should be created in SAP PM or Maximo. And at the end, if it needs an implementation, they may create a change order in order to correct the configuration on the related OT devices. So that's for the remediation and investigation workflows. You have also, if you use the OTVR Pro version, the hardware vulnerability assessment workflows. These workflows are linked to the fact that we can match any vulnerabilities that is in the National Vulnerability Database to your devices. You don't need specifically an IDS vendor like Nozomi, Tenable, Clarity to do the matching. If you don't have those, ServiceNow can do the matching for you, meaning that we download all the list of CVE for the National Vulnerability Database. Then we check for these vulnerabilities if they are matching your vendor, product, firmware version of your devices. All this information is typically visible in your CPE for your vulnerability. If we match these three different fields, we have what we call a full match, meaning that this vulnerability is 100% matching your device. If we just have the vendor and model matching, the product matching, then it is a partial match, meaning that maybe the version that we detected is not the same as the CVE version. This means that this vulnerability will impact your device in the future if you change version, or maybe you just already upgraded and it's no more linked to your device. Or maybe it is a CVE that impact all versions for this device, which could be also the case. For each of these matching, what you can do is you can choose to ignore the matching, meaning that, okay, I don't care, this is not important, or this is not something, this matching has been wrongly done. Meaning that my device is another version, no problem, you can ignore it. In this case, it will go into the ignored list, and you can for sure revert it if you make an error, or you can create a vulnerable item and then go into the vulnerable items workflow, like the remediation or the investigation workflows. So typically here, if I will not ignore critical ones, I will ignore the smallest one. So if I go for less critical device, then I will ignore these ones. So then it will go to the ignored assessment list. I just have to refresh it. So it's appearing. Okay, perfect. And if I made a mistake in my ignored assessment list, I can still take it and revert it back to my partially matched list. I can also directly create a vulnerable item from here. At the end, that's all the capacity that we provide in ServiceNow. So the capacity to monitor your device, the capacity to have a central inventory of your device, the capacity to monitor your risk and understand the vulnerabilities attached to your device, and for sure, all the workflows in order to repair them, control them, manage them, change them if needed. Thank you for your attention.